ॐ शुक्लां भरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तः शान्तः शान्तिः। अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजाननमहर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानाम् एकदन्तमुपास्महे। श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्रीहयग्रीवमुपास्महे। श्रीहयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः। सरस्वति नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः। उमाकोमलहस्ताब्जसम्भावितललाटकं हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करस्रजं। வெற்றிவேல் முருகனுக்கு ஹரஹரோஹரா. லோகவீரியம் மகாபூஜ்யம் சர்வரக்ஷாகரம் விபும் பார்வதி ஹிருதயானந்தம் சாஸ்தாரம் பிரணமாம்யகம். சுவாமியே சரணமய்யப்பா. वागर्ताविव सम्पृक्तौ वागर्त प्रतिपत्तये जगतः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ। श्रीपार्वती परमेश्वराभ्यां नमः। कोमलं पूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्खकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचरगुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ये सदा। कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृत् कृष्णाय दत्तं मनः। कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन् हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तैरनभ्यर्थितानपि अर्थान् कामानजस्रं वितरति परमानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च। इत्थं निःशेषलभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं शक्रवाटी ध्रुममभिलषति व्यर्थमर्त्यव्रजोऽयम्। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। वंशीविभूषितकरात् नवनीरधाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलादरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने. കൈരണ്ടും കൂപ്പി ഞാൻ വീണ്ടുമീറക്കുന്നു നീരജലോചനാനിന്നോടായി ഏതീനു മന്യാനെ കുമ്പീരേണ്ടാത്തോറു പ്രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കെന്നായി. കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ Krishna Hare Jaya Krishna Hare. Good morning, everyone. Okay, all right. So we'll have to do a review of 76 and then 5 stanzas of 77. So you can do 8 each. Maybe I'm just thinking. See. Sorry, Devi, can you do one half, and then Hari, you can do one half. 8 stanzas.
Okay, I'll do the first one.
Okay.
Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Dashakam 76 Uddhava Dutya Varnanam Vyatva Sandipani Mada Chadushashti Matrairahovihi सर्वज्ञस्त्वं सगमुसलिना सर्वविद्यां गृहीत्वां पुत्रं नष्टं यमनिलयिना स्दाहृतं दक्षिणार्थं दत्त्वा तस्मै निजपुरमगाः नादयन् पाञ्चजन्यम् स्मृत्वा स्मृत्वा पशुपसुदृशः प्रेमभारप्रणूनाः कारुण्येन त्वमपि विवशः प्राहिणो रुद्धवन्तम् किञ्जामुष्मे परमसुहृदे भक्तवार्या तासां भक्त्युद्रेकं सकलभुवने दुर्लभं दर्शयिष्यन् मन्माहात्म्य प्रतिमपिशुनं गोकुलं प्राप्य सायं तद्वार्ताभिर्बहुस रमया मासनन्दं यशोदां प्रादुर्दृष्ट्वा मणिमयरथं शङ्गिता पङ्कजाक्ष्याः श्रुत्वा प्राप्तं भवदनुचरं त्वत्तकार्यः समीयुः.
Second line, first word is twadvarta, twa sound, okay? Twadvarta there.
दृष्टा चैनं त्वदुपम लसद्वेषपूषादिरामं स्मृत्वा स्मृत्वा तव विलसिता नुच्चकैस्तानि रुन्धालापाः कथमपि पुनर्गद्गदां वाचमूषुः सौजन्यादिर्निजपरफिदां मापल्यं विस्मरन्त्यः.
The last word, Devi, or second, nijaparabhidam appyalam.
Appyalam, okay.
Okay, and then third line, first word is ruddha, double dha. I heard an in sound, there's no in there. Ruddha lapaha.
Ruddha lapaha, okay. श्रीमन् किं त्वं पृतृजनकृते प्रेषितो निर्धयेन क्वासौ कान्दो नगरसुदृशां हाहरे नादपायाः आश्लेषाणाम् अमृतवपुषो हन्दते चुम्बनानाम् उन्मादानां कुहकवचसः सां विस्मरेत् कान्दका वा रासक्रीडालुलितललितं विश्ललेत् केशपाशं मन्दो भिन्नश्रमजलगणं लोभनीयं त्वदङ्गं कारुण्याब्दे सकृदपि समालिङ्ग्यतुं दर्शयेति प्रेमोन्मादात् भुवनमदन त्वत्प्रयासात् त्वां विलेपुः.
त्वत्प्रियास्त्वां विलेपुः.
प्रियास्त्वां विलेपुः. एवं प्रायैर्विवशवचनैः आकुला गोपिका सास् त्वत्सन्देशप्रकृतमनयत् तो सदा विज्ञानगर्भैः भूयस्ताहुर्मुदितमतितभिः त्वन्मयीभिर्वधूभिः तत्तद्वार्ता सरसमनयत्
कानिचित् वासराणि. And then second line, last word, sota vijnana garbhaihi.
Sota vijnana garbhaihi, okay. Sotata illa sotha.
Sotha, right? And the S symbol is there, that is atha, so it will come together. Sotha vijnana garbhaihi.
त्वत्प्रादद्गाने सहितमनिष् सर्वतो गृहकृत्यं त्वद्वार्तैव प्रसरति मिथः सैव चोत्स्वापलापाः चेष्टाप्रायस्तनुकृतयः त्वन्मयं सर्वमेवं दृष्ट्वा तत्र व्यमूहदधिकं विस्मयायुद्धवोऽयम्.
Yeah, you can stop there.
प्रादायामे प्रियतममिदं मत्प्रियैवं प्रवीदि त्वं किं मौनं कलयसि सगे मानिनी मत्प्रियेव इत्यात्येव प्रवदति सहि त्वत्प्रियो निर्जने माम् इत्थं वादै अरमयदयं त्वत्प्रिया उत्पलाक्षिम् येष्यामित्रा अनुभगमनं केवलं कार्यापरात् विश्लेषेभिः स्मरणदृढादां सम्भवान् मास्तु खेदः ब्रह्मानन्दे मिलति नसिरात् सङ्गमो वा वियोगास्तुल्यो वा स्यादिति नवगिरां सोगकरो निर्बद्धास्तः एवं भक्ति सकलभुवने नेक्षिता न श्रुता वां किं मास्त्रौगैः किमिह तपसां गोपिकाभ्यो नमोऽस्तु इत्यानन्दकुलमुपगतं गोकुलात् उद्भवं दृष्ट्वा हृष्टो गुरुपरबुधे पाहि मामामयोगात् कृष्णाय परब्रह्मणे नमः.
A second line, first word, Kim Shastraugaihi.
किं शास्त्रौगैः.
Yeah.
Can I continue 77?
Yeah. 77, I think we did 5 stanzas. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Jarasandhyam Varnanam. Sairandriyastadnuchiram smara durayahem yadevu sulalida muktavena satam avasam todubagamostvam sadaiva kyayandya pradidinavasa sajjigayahem उपगदे त्वयि पूर्णमनोरथां रमद सम्भ्रपयोदरां विपदमाननम् आददीदं मुदा रगसिदां रम्यां चक्षुषे सुखम्.
And the second line, Vivida Mananam Adhadatim.
Vivida Mananam Adatadim Muda.
Yeah.
Ragasidam Ramyan Shakreshu Sukham. दृष्ट्वा वरं पुनरसो आवृणोत्वराहि भूयस्त्वया सुहृदमेव दिशान्तरेषु सायुज्यमस्विति वदेत् उद एव कामं सामीप्यम् अस्तव निसमित्यभि नाप्रवीत्तिं तदो भवान् देवनिसासु कासिचित् मृगीदृशं तां निकृतं विनोदयन् अदादु पश्लोह इति श्रुतं सुतं सनारदा सात्वद तन्त्र विद्बभौ अक्रूरमन्दिरमिर्दोद बलोत्त वाप्याम् अत्यच्छिदो बहुनुदो मुदिदेन देन येनं विसृज विविनाह पाण्डेवयवृतं विवेदि ददा धृतराष्ट्रश्रेष्ठाम्.
And the third line, last part, Bipinagata Pandaveya.
Vipinagata Pandaveya Vritam.
Yeah, Pandaveya Vritam Vivedi.
Pandaveya Vritam.
All right, we continue from 6. This you had. Mrinalini, you can be a student, and Bhuvana, you can be a student. So this one, bunch of places, the tunes are going to change a couple of times. It already, like, stanza 1 and 2 were one, then 3, 4, 5 was one tune. Now 6 is again a different tune. It'll go to the 4-liner tune. Vighata jamatuh parama suhrudo bhojan ripadehe jara sandherundat yanavadirushanthe tamaturam ratadhyir dorlabdhai katipaya balastvam balayutah Trayo Vimshat Yakshauhini Tadupanitam Samakritaha. So in 75 we saw the Kamsavadam. Then in 76 we saw how Uddhava had gone as a messenger to the Gopikas, and then he kind of realized that that all the knowledge he had and all the Jnana Yoga that he had learned and all the information he had about how Brahman was were all worthless when it compared to the Gopikas' devotion. Doesn't mean it is bad, but then it was like the Gopikas' devotion was so much that he said that he was nowhere in comparison to where the Gopikas were. So that was 76. And 77, Krishna went and met that Sairandriya, the Trivakra, and then he ended up sending Akrura to check on the Pandavas. That's kind of where we left. So now new story is starting here. So when Kamsa had 2 wives, Asti and Prapti. So no, both of them, they were sisters. So he had married two sisters. So they essentially went to their father's house after Kamsa got killed. And their father was none other than a person called Jarasandha. Now we'll see who Jarasandha is or why he got the name much later because the story is going to continue. So they essentially, so Jarasandha was Kamsa's father-in-law. But at the same time, Jarasandha and Kamsa were also very close friends. They all are like essentially these certain set of kings. We're going to see one more king come in the next one, prince called Rukmi. So they all were like just best friends, right? So their whole goal was they all team up and go attack people. So Jarasandha, whose father-in-law was a very good friend with Kamsa. So when Jarasandha came to know that both his daughters got widowed because of this person called Krishna, so he said, you know what, I'm going to go attack Mathura because that's where Krishna is there right now, right? He said, I'm going to go attack. And here there's something called as an Akshauhini. And Akshauhini is a certain combination of soldiers to chariots, to the people who are cavalry, soldiers who are sitting on elephants, to the chariots, to the cavalry, to the infantry. So it's one it's a 1:1:3:5. Some combination is there. That one formation is called as one Akshauhini. And that one Akshauhini itself has about like 60 or 80,000 soldiers. It's a combination. Like so first is 20,000, 21,000 is 1x, then it's 1x, another x, and 3x, and 5x. So about 10x. So about 210,000 is one Akshauhini. And this Jarasandha, he sends 23 Akshauhini. So he says 23 such formations, right? He sends in a huge volume to go and attack Mathura, take over Mathura, because that's where his son-in-law Kamsa was there. So to attack Mathura, and also now when he comes and attacks, now Krishna is thinking, okay, what do I do? Do I get rid of Jarasandha at this time? Or do I get rid of all the soldiers, or do I get rid of all of them? Now, Jarasandha, according to his karma, is not destined to die in Krishna's hands, right? So Krishna cannot just get rid of him that way. And plus, it's going to come later. Krishna doesn't kill him because Jarasandha was a very evil person. So every time you send him back, Krishna knew he's going to come back. So he's going to bring more evil people with him. So Krishna says, okay, I'm not going to get rid of Jarasandha. At the time in Bhagavatam, it talks about how something comes from space, two chariots or some two special vehicles come from space which has all the armor, and with just Krishna and Balarama then get rid of Jarasandha's 23 Akshauhinis. So just the soldiers, they just get rid of them, they don't do anything to Jarasandha. So this is the first attack that Jarasandha is doing on Mathura. Bigataj ij sound, Jamatuhu, put a F, Jamatuf Parama Suhrudo Bhoja Nripatehe, add a Visarga, comma, Param Sur, not just a friend, he was an extremely close friend. So that's why he was very offended when Kamsa died. Bhoj Nripatehe, comma. Next word, Ir goes away. Jara Sandhe Rundhat Yanavadhi, one word. Rundhat Yanavadhi Rushandheta Mathura Rata Dyair Dior Labdaihi, put a ih, Labdaih Katipaya Balas Tvam Balayutaha, comma, Visarga, comma. Next line is goes away. Trayo Bimshatyakshauhini Tadupanitam Samahritaha. Vighata Jamatuf Paramasuhrudo Bhojan Rapatehe Jarasandhe Rundat Yanabhadi Rushandhe Tamaturam तथाध्येद्योर्लब्धैः कतिपयबलस्त्वं बलयुतः त्रयोविंशत्यक्षौहिणी तदुपनीतं समहृताः.
line radadhyairlo
रथाध्यैर्द्योर्लब्धैः.
जामातु परम सुहृदो भोजन नृपतेः जरासन्धे रुन्धत्य रुषान्धेत मधुरां रथाद्यैर्ध्योर्बलैः.
I'm not hearing your voice is fading, Mrinali. I don't know why.
It's my phone.
Okay. So that word also is Rathadhyair Dyor labdaih.
Is this okay?
Yeah, I can hear
Rajesh?
you. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, I was doing so many mistakes. I think that's why.
No, that's okay. You start again. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
विघाता जामातुः परमसुहृदो नृपतेः जरासन्धे रुन्धत्यनवधिरुषान्देथ मधुराम् रथाध्यैर्योर्लब्धैः कतिपयबलस्त्वं बलयुतः त्रयोविंशत्यक्षौहिणी तदुपनीतं समहृदाः
Yeah, this is a little
विघाता
bit of a tough stanza only. The third line again. Ratadhyair Dyor labdaih.
विघातां जातुः परमसुहृदो भोजनृपतेः जरासन्धे रुन्धत्यनवधि रुषान्धेथ मधुराम् रथाद्यैर्द्योर्लब्धैः कतिपलयबलस्त्वं बलयुतः त्रयोविंशत्यक्षौहिणी तदुपनीतं समहृताः
विघाता जामातुः परमसुहृदो भोजनृपतेः जरासन्धेरुन्धत्यनवदिदृशान्देत मथुराम् रताद्यैर्द्योर्लब्धैः कतिपयबलस्त्वं बलयुतः त्रयोविंशत्यक्षौहिणी तदुपनीतं समहृताः विघाता जामातुः परमसुहृदो भोजनृपतेः जरासन्धेरुन्धत्यनवधि दृशान्देत मथुराम् रताद्यैर्द्योर्लब्धैः कतिपयबलस्त्वं बलयुतः त्रयोविंशत्यक्षौहिणी तदुपनीतं समहृताः
7. Tune change here. Baddham baladata balena balottaram tvam bhuyo balodhyamarasena mumochitainam nishesha digjaya samahrita vishva sainyat konyastato hi balapaurushavaam stadhanim. So when Jarasandha, all these warriors, they were all lost. The soldiers were gone. So only Jarasandha was left. So Balarama captures Jarasandha there. But Krishna decides that I don't want to get rid of Jarasandha right now because, there is more things to happen with Jarasandha and someone else is going to be getting rid of him. So Krishna will not get rid of him. And at the same time, like I said, he was a very evil person. So which means he was associated with evil people. So every time you let him go, he was going to go and bring more evil people here. So Krishna thought this is one way to kind of get rid of all these people who are performing atrocities. So Krishna, then they let Jarasandha go, right? And then, they don't do anything to him, right? They just, like insult him. They shave his head off like they normally do to insult the kings and then just let him go. Baddam baladata balena balottaram tvam, comma, bhuyo balodhyama rasena mumochitainam nishesha dig jaya samahrita vishwa sainyat, comma, konyas tato hi bala paurushavam stadhani. So because after Kamsa was gotten it out, he was the most powerful king that was ever there. And we'll see he has tie-ups with outside of India also. So he was a very powerful king. So he says because he was that powerful, everybody will come to support him. So this was one opportunity to get rid of all the people who are supporting him.
Rajesh, a quick question.
Yeah.
Sorry. Last line la bala pau rushavam irukku. Bala pau shavama bala pau rushavama.
Paurushavams is Paurushavams tadani.
Okay, thank you.
Baddam baladata balena balottaram tvam भूयो बलोध्यमरसेन मुमोचिथैनं निःशेषदिग्जयसमाहृत विश्वसैन्यात् कोऽन्यस्ततो हि बलपौरुषवांस्तदानीम्
बद्धं बलादत बलेन बलोत्तरं त्वं भूयो बलोद्यमरसेन मुमोचितैनं निःशेषदिग्जयसमाहृत विश्वसैन्यात् कोऽन्यस्ततो हि बलपौरुषवांस्तदानीम् बद्धं बलादत बलेन बलोत्तरं त्वं भूयो बलोद्यमरसेन मुमोचितैनं निःशेषदिग्जयसमाहृत विश्वसैन्यात् कोऽन्यस्ततो हि बलपौरुषवांस्तदानीम्
भक्तं बलात् तदपल्बलेन बलोत्तरं त्वं भूयो बलोद्यमरसेन मुमोचितैनं निःशेषदिग्जयसमाहृत विश्वसैन्यात् कोऽन्यस्ततो हि बलपौरुषवांस्तदानीम् बद्धं बलात् बलेन बलोत्तरं त्वं भूयो बलोद्यमरसेन मुमोचितैनं निःशेषदिग्जयसमाहृत विश्वसैन्यात् कोऽन्यस्ततो हि बलपौरुषवांस्तदानीम्
Sansa 8
ராஜஸ்ரீ
Bhagnas yeah you go ahead.
அந்த தேர்ட் லைன்ல நிஷேஷ்ல நீக்கு அப்புறம் ஒரு விசர்கா இருக்கு அது
But
இருக்கு
it'll take a ish sound then
ஓகே
nishesha okay if you have
ஓகே
nihi it becomes nish Sansa 8 Bhagnas salagna hridayopi nripaih pranunno yuddham tvaya vyadita shodashakritvayevam akshauhini shiva shivasya jagantha vishnu sambhuya saikanapati trishatam tadhanim. So when he was insulted that way, like see the kings at that time, they would rather die than be let go after a defeat. So similarly, when that happened to Jarasandha, he felt very insulted, So then, but lot of other his people around him said, what can you do, Jarasandha? This is like fate, it was unfortunate, right? I don't know how Krishna and Balarama single-handedly defeated you, but then you know what? You should keep trying, right? Because you should not let it go. You should get rid of them. So with this, he starts collecting more people, and first time which he got defeated, he then goes show dasha. He goes 16 more times with the same number of 21 akshauhinis, and every single time he goes and attacks Mathura, then he gets defeated. He's then freed up, and they let him go. They don't do anything to Jarasandha. So totally 17 times he attacks Mathura. On each of the time he attacks with 23 akshauhinis. So 17 times 23 is 391. That's what it says here. 391 akshauhinis all get defeated, and this person Jarasandha still doesn't give up, and Krishna and Balarama also still don't get rid of Jarasandha. So this thing keeps going on, and 17 times over several years this goes on, right? So he keeps attacking, and he keeps losing every single time. Bhagnaha put is Bhagnas sa lagna hridayopi nripaihi put a F to join nripai pranunno युद्धं त्वया व्यदित षोडश कृत्व एवं अक्षौहिणीः if you have visarga put a ish to join अक्षौहिणीश शिव शिवास्य जगन्थ विष्णो संभूय सैक नवति त्रिशतं तदानि त्रिशतं is 300 Navati is 90, Saika, Eka, so 390 and 391. Bhagnas salagna hridayopi nripaih pranunno yuddham tvaya vyadita shodashakritva evam akshauhini shiva shivasya jagantha vishnu sambhuya saika navati trishatam tadhanim.
ராஜேஷ் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் லைன்ல நிருபைஹிக்கு அப்புறம் கமா இருக்கா நிருபை
Nripaihi
அப்புறம்
F letter will join it. Nripai pranunno and then comma.
भग्नः सलग्नहृदयोऽपि नृपैः प्रणुन्नो युद्धं त्वया व्यधितषोडशकृत्व एवम् अक्षौहिणी शिव शिवास्य जघन्त विष्णो सम्भूतसैकनवतित्रिशतं तदानीम् भग्नः सलग्नहृदयोऽपि नृपैः प्रणुन्नो युद्धं त्वया व्यधितषोडशकृत्व एवम् अक्षौहिणी शिवास्य जगन्थ विष्णो सम्भूय सैकनवतित्रिशतं तदानीम्
भग्नः सलग्नहृदयोऽपि नृपैः प्रणुन्नो युद्धं त्वया व्यधित षोडशकृत्व एवम् अक्षौहिणी शिवस्य जघन्त विष्णो सम्भूय सैकनवति त्रिशतं तदानीम् भग्नः सलग्नहृदयोऽपि नृपैः प्रणुन्नो युद्धं त्वया व्यधित षोडशकृत्व एवम् अक्षौहिणी शिवास्य जघन्त विष्णो सम्भूय सैकनवति त्रिशतं तदानीम्
That's a 9. अष्टादशेस्य समरे समुपेयुषे त्वं दृष्ट्वा पुरोत यवनं यवनत्रिकोट्या त्वष्ट्राभिधाप्य पुरमाशु पयोधि मध्ये तत्रातयोगबलतः स्वजनाननैषीः. The thing doesn't stop there. Ashtadasha. So Jarasandha says, I'm going to continue this. I'm going to come for the 18th time. I'm going to then attack again Mathura with all these Akshohinis. So as he was planning that attack, a story takes a different turn here. There is a barbarian called called Yavana. So this Yavana is a person from Greece. So this Yavana, so that's where this word that is used here is the Yavana itself refers to people from who are Greece. So Kala Yavana is a person who is from Greece. So he's looking for somebody to rival him, somebody to fight. He feels like he's the strongest person in the world. So instantly Narada goes and meets him. Now we'll see why that Yavana, Narada meets and all. The reason is going to come later. But Narada goes and meets him saying, you seem to be looking for somebody to fight with. There is one person in Mathura who is extremely strong. He has defeated Jarasandha 17 times. So you should actually go and fight with him because he's your equivalent person. So this person from Greece comes with 3 kotya, comes with like 3 crore warriors all the way from Greece. He starts coming towards Mathura. So now both of these things are going to be happening at the same time. So Krishna is sitting and thinking, on one end I have this Yavana coming with 3 crore warriors. Then on the other end I have this Jarasandha coming for the 18th time to fight. Now cannot fight all these people at the same time because no matter how much Krishna is doing, the people are getting affected. Mathura city is getting affected. So he says that all this is happening because Mathura is situated right in the middle, like in the north. If you look at it, Mathura is surrounded by land everywhere. You can attack from all sides of India, right? Or from anywhere in the world. This is not going to happen. So overnight, so Krishna then decides, he calls Vishwakarma and then builds Payodhi Madhye in the middle of the ocean. He then constructs a big fortress. A fortress is about 96 miles in circumference. It's a circular fortress that is constructed in the middle of the Arabian Sea, Dwaraka, where it is 96 miles in circumference. And overnight, everybody who is in Mathura is getting moved over to Dwaraka. So it says Tava Yoga Bhalai. It doesn't say how, it says with your yogic powers of Krishna, somehow you transport all of these people overnight from Mathura to, it's like catching a flight overnight and going from Mathura to Dwaraka. So next morning they all wake up, they are in Dwaraka. So that way, that the city of Mathura people will not be able to take both of these attacks happening at the same time. So with this, you transport everybody because from now on, from next chapter, Krishna has moved on to Dwaraka. So the Mathura period is coming to an end. So with that, you build Dwaraka through Vishwakarma and transport everybody there. अष्टादशोऽस्य समरे समुपेयिषित्वं, दृष्ट्वा पुरोत यवनं यवनत्रिकोट्या त्वष्ट्रा विधाप्य पुरमाशु पयोधि मध्ये, तत्रात योग बलतः पुट इस बलतस् स्वजनाननैषीः. अष्टादशेस्य समरे समुपेयुषि त्वं दृष्ट्वा पुरोतयवनं यवनत्रिकोट्या त्वष्ट्रा विधाप्य पुरमाशु पयूधि मध्ये तत्रातयोगबलतः स्वजनाननैषीः
अष्टादश
Rajesh, sorry. Bookல பரமாசுன் விதாப்பிய பரமாசுன்னு போட்டிருக்கு நீங்க
இல்ல
புறமாசு.
புரமாஷு. Puram is a city, so புரமாஷு.
Okay, thank you.
अष्टादशेस्य समरे समुपेयुषि त्वं दृष्ट्वा पुरोथ यवनत्रिकोट्या वष्ट्राविथाप्य पुरमाशु पयोधि मध्ये तत्राथ योगबलतः स्वजनाननैषीः अष्टादशेस्य समरे समुपेयुषि त्वं दृष्ट्वा पुरोथ यवनत्रिकोट्या त्वष्ट्राविथाप्य पुरमाशु पयोधि मध्ये तत्राथ योगबलतः स्वजनाननैषीः
अष्टादशेस्य समरे समुपेयुषि त्वं दृष्ट्वा पुरोथ यवनं यवनत्रिकोट्या त्वष्ट्राभिधाप्य पुरमाशु पयोधि मध्ये तत्रातयोग बलतः स्वजनाननैषीः अष्टादशेस्य समरे समुपेयुषि त्वं दृष्ट्वा पुरोथ यवनं यवनत्रिकोट्या त्वष्ट्राभिधाप्य पुरमाशु पयोधि मध्ये तत्रातयोग बलतः स्वजनाननैषीः.
Stanza 10. So 10 and 11 are the four liners again. पद्भ्यां त्वं पद्ममाली चकित इव पुरा निर्गतो धावमानो म्लेच्छेषेणानुयातो बद सुकृतविहीनेन शैलेन्यलैषीः सुप्तेनाङ्ग्र्याहतेन द्रुतमतमुचुकुन्देन भस्मीकृतेऽस्मिन् भूपायास्मै गुहान्ते सुललितवपुषा तस्तिषे भक्तिभाजे. So it's a very interesting story happens here. So this Yavana from Greece, he comes, right? So he doesn't really care about winning over Mathura and all that stuff. For him, he has to prove he is the strongest person. So he really cares about getting rid of this Krishna who is there. And so he doesn't know how Krishna looks. So he asks Narada, when Narada tells you should go fight this Krishna, he asks Narada, how do I know which person is Krishna? So Narada gives a description saying this person is going to be like this height, he's going to be this dark in color, and he's going to be wearing a garland of flowers. He's going to be wearing a pitambaram. He's going to be bare chested, right? So he describes all these things of Krishna. So this Yavana comes there. So the Yavana is now attacking with 3 crore people. Jarasandha could be attacking any moment to Mathura. So then Krishna tells Balarama that, you know what, Balarama, you stay in Mathura right now and try to fight Jarasandha. I will take care of this Yavana. So with that, when Yavana is waiting outside the fort of Mathura, Krishna comes without any army. He just comes single-handed, right? He just comes out of Mathura. So when he looks at it, this Yavana looks at this person and says, this is exactly the person that Narada mentioned. He has eyes which are like lotus. He looks very handsome. He's dark in color. He's wearing this garland, of forest flowers, Vanamali. He's wearing Pitambaram. So it has to be this person has to be Krishna, right? And this is the person I need to fight with. But the problem is this person is not having any weapons. This person is not having any soldiers. He's just come single-handed, like without any weapon. So he says, I am equal, right? So I'm also just going to fight him without any weapons. But what happens is Krishna then starts running away from the outside the fort. He just starts running out. This Yavana wonders, what is this person just running? And he starts chasing Krishna as well. So I'll ask a question. Do you know, in the northern India, there is a name given to Krishna in this case. Do you know what is it? What is the name? Because of what Krishna just did. He's running away from this Yavana.
Ranchod.
Ranachod is somebody who runs away from the battlefield, right? So that is how they call Krishna. They're saying, Krishna, you are a coward. You are like running away from a Yavana instead of fighting him. Why is that, right? So Krishna says, okay. So Krishna just runs, and this Yavana then continues chasing. Kala Yavana chases Krishna, So he goes after and he just hurls all sides of insults, right? So saying you took birth in a Yadava family, you say you defeated Jarasandha so many times, you refuse to even look me eye to eye, and you are refusing to fight with me, and then you're running away. So with this, Krishna then goes and they run for a long time, they run. And finally, Krishna gets into a cave and he disappears into the cave. So this Kala Yavana gets into this cave and then he looks, he sees somebody is lying on the floor sleeping. And then he's covered with this pitambaram, the garment that Krishna wears. So he says, okay, this person is out here sleeping and trying to hide, he is trying to hide away from me, afraid. So he gets very angry. He comes and kicks that person in the chest, whoever is sleeping. When that person wakes up and that person looks at this Yavana gets completely burnt to ashes. So Bhasmi Kritesmin, he gets burnt into ashes because that person who he kicked was a person called Muchukunda. We will see how Muchukunda had the power and all that in the next stanza. So with this, that Yavana is getting burnt to ashes because Muchukunda looks at him and he had so much yogic power that Yavana got burnt. So the point there was, it was not destined for that Yavana to die at the hands of Krishna. So the Muchukunda had to be revived. Again, once the next stanza comes, you'll understand the context. But right now, Muchukunda gets rid of Yavana.
ராஜேஷ்
Hmm.
அந்த 9th ஸ்லோகம் இதுக்கு முன்னாடி உள்ளதுல ஒரே
Hmm.
ஒரு கொஸ்டின் இருக்கு. யோக பலத்தஹ ஸ்வஜானான வா அங்க இஸ் இருக்கு.
Is yoga balatas, and the visarga will take a is sound.
So there's two is's.
Ama yoga balataha, adukku oru is, yoga balatas. And then the next word is swajanananaishihi.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Two different words, yeah. Padbhyam tvam padmamali, comma, chakita iva puran nirgato dhavamano, comma, mlecheshenanuyatho. That's one word. Mlecha refers to somebody who's of not that great wisdom or thing, which is apparent to the person from Greece. Mlecheshenanuyatho, comma, pada sukruta vihinena shaile nyalaishihi. So they all used to be called as mlechas because they used to eat pigs. So they're considered impure because they used to eat pigs. So that's why that word mlecha is getting used here. Padbhyam tvam padmamali chakita iva puran nirgato dhavamano mlecheshenanuyato vada sukrita vihinena shaile nyalaishihi.
Padbhyam tvam padmamali chakita iva puran nirgato dhavamano mlecheshe nanuyato vadha sukruta vihinena shailenyalaishihi. Padbhyam tvam padmamali chakita iva puran nirgato dhavamano mlecheshe nanuyato vadha sukruta vihinena shailenyalaishihi.
पद्भ्यां त्वं पद्ममाली चकित इव पुरान् निर्गतो धावमानो म्लेच्छेषेणानुयातो वद सुहृतविहीनेन लैषीः पद्भ्यां त्वं पद्ममाली चकित इव पुरान् निर्गतो धावमानो म्लेच्छेषेणानुयातो वद सुहृत विहीनेन शैलेन्यलैषीः.
Suptenanghryahatena, one word. Suptenanghryahatena, comma, drutamata muchukundena bhasmi kritesmin, comma, bhupa yasmai guhante, comma, sulalita vapusha tastishe bhakti bhaje. Suptenanghryahatena drutamata muchukundena bhasmi kritesmin bhupayasmai guhante sulalita vapusha tastishe bhakti bhaje.
Suptenanghryahatena धृतमथ मुचुकुन्देन भस्मीकृतेऽस्मिन् भूपायास्मै गुहान्ते सुललितवपुषा तस्थिषे भक्तिभाजे सुप्तेनाङ्घ्र्या हतेन धृतमथ मुचुकुन्देन भस्मीकृतेऽस्मिन् भूपायास्मै गुहान्ते सुललितवपुषा तस्थिषे भक्तिभाजे
सुप्तेनाङ्घ्र्याहतेन धृतमतमुचुकुन्देन भस्मीकृतेऽस्मिन् भूपायास्मै गुहान्ते सुललितवपुषा तस्तिषे भक्तिभाजे सुप्तेनाङ्घ्र्याहतेन धृतमतमुचुकुन्देन भस्मीकृतेऽस्मिन् भूपायास्मै गुहान्ते सुललितवपुषा तस्तिषे भक्तिभाजे.
That's 11. ऐक्ष्वाकोऽहं विरक्तोऽस्म्यखिल नृपसुखे त्वत्प्रसादैककाङ्क्षी हा देवेति स्तुवन्तं वरविततिषु तं निःस्पृहं वीक्ष्य हृक्ष्यन् मुक्ते स्तुल्यां च भक्तिं धुतसकलमलं मोक्षयाम्याशु दत्त्वा कार्यं हिंसा विशुद्ध्यै तप इति च तदा प्रातलोकप्रतीत्यै. So after this, Yavana becomes burnt because of the Muchukunda. So at the time, Krishna then comes out of there, right, in this form, because Krishna didn't want Muchukunda to look at him first, because that he had that amount of power. So this then Krishna then asks him, who are you? He knows, but he's now explaining the story. He's saying, I was born in the dynasty of Ikshwaku. In the dynasty I was born, he was a very powerful king, very strong king, to the extent that Indra went and asked for his help to fight. So this person, this Muchukunda, he ended up going and helping Indra out, all the devas out in the battle. He was that strong. So he fought for several years for Indra. So when Indra then no longer needed his help, then he said, oh, but if you go back right now, there are so many hundreds and thousands of years have already passed on earth, which means the people are no longer there. Right? So the time has already, because you remember the time is different in between Bhulokam and the Swargalokam. So he says all of those people are gone. And Muchukanda also said, I'm just tired of all this fighting. So Indra says, so what do you want in return? So Muchukunda says, I want peace. I just want to go and rest myself, right? Till I feel good. So Indra says, okay, fine. You go to Bhulokam, you just rest there. You have so much power in you that whoever wakes you up, right, and you look at them, that person is going to get burned, because nobody's supposed to wake you up. He's supposed to rest, right? So with that, Indra gives the blessing. So Muchukunda comes over, and he comes over to Mathura side at this time, and then he's just sleeping, and this person Yavana comes, wakes him up. So because of that curse, when he opens his eyes, this Yavana is getting burnt. So now this Muchukunda has done a lot of good deeds, right? So then Krishna asks him, what do you want, right? What boon do you want? So he says, all I want is, I just want more devotion towards you. That's why the word there is saying, Bhaktim Duta Sakala Malam Moksham Apyashu Dhatva. He says, I don't even want liberation. All I want is, I just want very strong devotion towards you, because that is what is going to keep me going. So with that, Bhagavan then tells him that he has to perform more penance, tapa, to perform all of that stuff. And eventually this Muchukunda ends up leaving, goes to Badarika Ashrama, where Narayanayana are still there doing tapas, and he goes and settles down there. So that was the story of this Muchukunda, who's in the land of Ikshwaku. So he was also destined to meet Krishna and then get his blessings and go and do tapas. That was his destiny, right? At the same time, this Yavana also had to be gotten rid of. So that's why the whole thing happened, to kind of bring all these things together. Aikshwakoham Biraktosmyakhila. That's one word you have to say it together. Biraktosmyakhila Nripa Sukhe, Twat Prasadaika Kankshi, Ha Deveti Stuvantam, Bara Bitatishu Tam, Nihi is there, put the is to join, Nis Spriham Vikshya Hrishyan. Aikshwakoham Biraktosmyakhila Nripa Sukhe, Twat Prasadaika Kankshi, हा देवेति स्तुवन्तं वरवितति श्रुतं निःस्पृहं वीक्ष्य हृष्यन्
ऐक्ष्वाकोऽहं विरक्तोऽस्म्यखिलनृपं सुखे त्वत्प्रसादैककाङ्क्षी हा देवेति स्तुवन्तं वरविततिषु तं निःस्पृहं वीक्ष्य हृष्यन् ऐक्ष्वाकोऽहं विरक्तोऽस्म्यखिलनृपसुखे त्वत्प्रसादैककाङ्क्षी हा देवेति स्तुवन्तं वरविततिषु तं विस्पृहं वीक्ष्य हृष्यन्
ऐक्ष्वाकोऽहं विरक्तोऽस्म्यखिलनृपसुखे त्वत्प्रसादैककाङ्क्षी हा देवेति स्तुवन्तं वरविततिषुतं निःस्पृहं वीक्ष्य हृष्यन् ऐक्ष्वाकोऽहं विरक्तोऽस्म्यखिलनृपसुखे त्वत्प्रसादैककाङ्क्षी हा देवेति स्तुवन्तं वरविततिषुतं निःस्पृहं वीक्ष्य हृष्यन्.
Okay, we'll just switch second half. Madhavi Garu, can you be a student today? And then Sita Varanasi can be a student. Muktes tulyam cha bhaktim dhuta sakala malam, comma, moksham apyashu datva, comma, karyam himsa vishuddhyai tapa iti cha tada, comma, prata loka pratityai. मुक्तेस्तुल्यां च भक्तिं धुतसकलमलां मोक्षमप्याशु दत्त्वा कार्यं हिंसा विशुद्ध्यै तप इति च तदा प्रातलोकप्रतीत्यै
मुक्तेस्तुल्यां च भक्तिं धुतसकलमलं मोक्षमप्यासु दत्त्वा कार्यं हिंसा विशुद्ध्यै तप इति च तदा प्रार्थलोकप्रतीत्यै मुक्तेस्तुल्यां च भक्तिं धुतसकलमलं मोक्षमप्याशु दत्त्वा कार्यं हिंसा विशुद्ध्यै तप इति च तदा प्रार्थलोकप्रतीत्यै.
ராஜேஷ்
and
சகல துத சகல மலாம்னு போட்டிருக்கு.
yeah, that I was going to correct it. It is malam.
Oh, malam.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you have malam, just change it to malam.
Okay.
मुक्तेस्तुल्यां च भक्तिं दुतसकलमलां मोक्षमप्यासु दत्त्वा कार्यं हिंसा विशुद्ध्यै तप इति च तदा प्रातलोकप्रतीत्यै मुक्तेस्तुल्यां च भक्तिं धुतसकलमलां मोक्षमप्यासु दत्त्वा कार्यं हिंसा विशुद्ध्यै तप इति च तदा प्रातलोकप्रतीत्यै.
राजेशजी ಅದು ಮೋಕ್ಷಂ ಅಪ್ಯಾಸುವ ಪ್ಯಾಸುವ
You can just breaking at that ma moksham apyashu.
Okay.
Sensitive. Tadanu maturam gatva hatva chamum yavanahritam makadapatina marge sainyai pureva nivaritah charama vijayam darpayasmai pradhaya palayito jaladhi nagarim yato vatalayeshwara pahimam. With this, after getting rid of Muchukunda, after getting rid of that Yavana, then Krishna then comes back to Mathura, gets rid of the Yavana army. And then, they say, what, this Jarasandha is just being a pain. The point is he wants to keep coming and attack, but it's like, the child comes and tries to fight with you. He cannot win, but you also, then you are bored of fighting as well, right? So Krishna says to Balarama, the best way is, according to him, we should just not be there, right? So what they do is they just run away. Essentially, Krishna decides that we're just going to go hide somewhere, right? And so this Jarasandha chases, he burns the forest and all that stuff happens. Long story happens. And he thinks Krishna and Balarama are dead. Once he realizes that, he goes away. So at that time, Krishna and Balarama then end up coming over to Dwaraka. So with this, you come to Jaladi Nagarim Yato, you come to your city, a new city, which is established in the middle of the ocean. And now from on, everything that is going to happen for the rest of the Krishna avataram is going to be happening in Dwaraka. So Krishna leaves Mathura, comes over to Dwaraka. So Guru Arapa, please eradicate my ailments. Tadanu Mathuram Gatva Hatva Chamum Yavanahritam, Magada Patina Marge Sainyaihi, put a F, Sainyaif Pureva Nivaritah Charama Vijayam Darpayasmai Pradaya Palayito, Jaladhi Nagarim Yato Vatalayeshwara Pahima. So the Jarasandha character will go away now, but he'll come again in Dashakam 85, where he's going to be getting killed as part of what Yudhishthira will do, a Rajasuya Yajnam at that time. At that time, Jarasandha will get killed. Tadanu Mathuram Gatva Hatva Chamhum Yavana Hritam Magadha Patina Marge Sainyaif Pureva Nivaritah Charama Vijayam Darpayasmai Pradhaya Palayito Jaladhi Nagarim Yato Vatalayeshwara Pahimam.
Tadanu Mathuram Gatva Hatva Chamum Yavanahritam Magadhapatina Marge Sainyaif Pureva Nivaritaha Charama Vijayam Darpayasmai Pradaya Palayito Jaladhi Nagarim Yato Vatalayeshwara Pahimam. Tadanu Mathuram Gatva Hatva Chamum Yavanahritam Magadhapatina Marge Sainyaif Pureva Nivaritah Charama Vijayam Darpayasmai Pradaya Palayito. I think
No, I
I
think the
messed
first
up.
and two lines you joined
Yeah.
together. Yeah, that's okay.
Tadanu Mathuram Gatva Hatva Chamum Yavanahritam Magadhapatina
That one, Yavanahritam.
Tadanu Mathuram Gatva Hatva Chamum Yavanahritam Magadhapatina Marge Sainyaif Pureva Nivaritah Charama Vijayam Darpayasmai Pradaya Palayito Jaladhi Nagarim Yato Vatalayeshwara Pahimam.
तदनु मथुरां गत्वा हत्वा चमूं यवनाहृतां मगधपतिना मार्गे सैन्ये पुरेव निवारितः चरमविजयं दर्पायास्मै प्रदाय पलायितो जलधिनगरीं यातो पातालयेश्वर पाहि माम् तदनु मथुरां गत्वा हत्वा चमूं यवनाहृतां मगधपतिना मार्गे सैन्यैः पुरेव निवारितः शरमविजयं दर्पायास्मै प्रदाय पलायितो जलधिनगरीं यातो वातालयेश्वर पाहि माम्.
Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Yeah, Dashakam 78. So up to now, we saw a lot of this fighting and Krishna getting rid of Kamsa, then Jarasandha war, So in the movie of Krishna, there is no love so far, right? So the next 4 Dashakams, right? He's going to go from somebody like a hero who is just fighting the villain to a hero who's going to fall in love. He's going to marry 16,008 women. We'll see what the concept of marriage is and how all of that happens over the next 4 Dashakams. So this is Dwaraka Vasa Varnanam and Rukminya Sandeshascha. It's a message from Rukmini. Tridashavardhaki Vardhita Kaushalam Tridashadatta Samasta Vibhutimate Jaladhi Madhyagatam Tvamabhushayo Navapuram Vapuranchita Rochisha. Just a quick description here beautifully. Bhagavatam, it goes into a lot of detail about this city that was built in the middle of the ocean, right? This fortress, like we said, it was about 96 miles in circumference. So it was a massive city which was actually built in the middle of the ocean. It was not accessible. There was only one way to get into the Dwaraka, right? That you could come from the Gujarat area, and no otherwise it was all just surrounded by water on all sides. And it was built by Vishwakarma, so it was like built with all the latest technology and equipment that was to be there, to the extent that it rivaled any other city that was in the world or in Swargalokam, right? It talks about very detailed about how there was just abundance of wealth there, right? So this is one example, eventually, not that Narayaneeyam is going to talk about it, but in the end, the people in Dwaraka they just had everything. So when you have everything, what happens is you then start fighting amongst yourself. That's how eventually the Yadavas get destroyed. Is the infighting that actually happens amongst them because they had nothing to worry about, right? So that is how this Dwaraka was. There was abundance of wealth. There was no shortage of anything. Nobody could attack Dwaraka at those times because it was just so well protected. And then because it was Krishna has established all of these devas, everybody come there because Vishwakarma has built it. They all come for the Griha Pravesham like we do, right? So they all come and they all give a lot of things to Krishna and the Yadavas, and they are all well settled and happy there. Just introducing that they are now all settled in Dwaraka and everybody is just enjoying there. 3 dasha. If you have 3 diva, just change it to 3 dasha, just for consistency. So 3 dasha vardhaki vardhita kaushalam, comma 3 dasha datta samasta vibhutimat jaladhi madhyagatam tvamabhushayo, comma navapuram vapuranchita rochisha. So this Vishwakarma who designs all these cities or lands for the devas, he himself comes there and designs it in a similar way. Tridashavardhaki vardhita kaushalam tridashadatta samasta vibhutimate jaladhi madhyagatam tvamabhushayo navapuram vapuranchita rochisha.
त्रिदशवर्धकि वर्धितकौशलं त्रिदशदत्तसमस्तविभूतिमत् जलधिमध्यगतं त्वमभूषयो नवपुरं वपुरं चितरोचिषा.
In sound, vapuranchita
वपुरञ्चित. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. त्रिदशवर्धकि वर्धितकौशलं त्रिदशदत्तसमस्तविभूतिमत् जलधिमध्यगतं त्वमभूषयो नवपुरं वपुरञ्चितरोचिषा.
त्रिदशवर्धकिवर्तितकौशलं त्रिदशदत्तसमस्तविभूतिमत् जलधिमध्यगतं समभूषयो नवपुरं वपुरञ्चितरोचिषा. त्रिदशवर्धकिवर्तितकौशलं त्रिदशदत्तसमस्तविभूतिमत् जलधिमध्यगतं समभूषयो नवपुरं वपुरञ्चितरोचिषा.
Dadushire vata bhubhriti vatim halabhrite tanayam vidishasanat mahitamutsava ghoshamapu pushaha samuditai sahayadavaihi. Before Krishna gets into any marriage, his brother is still there, right? Elder Balarama is still there. So the story goes back. There was a king called Revata. He had a son, Kakudmi, and the Kakudmi had a daughter called Revati. So this Kakudmi, some of those kings were just very powerful. They had access to go wherever they wanted outside of this earth. So he says that I don't see anybody in this earth who is powerful enough to marry my daughter. So he says, I'm going to go because I cannot find somebody. Let me go ask the creator, Brahma, who is equivalent to my daughter so I can get her married to the right person. So very devoted father, right? So he both go, he and the daughter, Revati, go all the way to Brahma, Satyaloka. And then they say, Brahma, that I need to find the best husband for my daughter. Brahma said, you can do all that. But by the time, very similar to that Ikshvaku story, by the time you came to Satyalokam, and go back, millions of years have passed on earth, which means that everybody that you know is no longer in existence. Your whole kingdom is gone, your dynasty is gone, the cities have gone, right? Nothing is existence. You will not recognize anything when you actually go back, right? By the time you reach earth, which also takes time. So Brahma says, but by the time you go there, this Balarama, who's Adishesha's incarnation, the Dwapara Yuga will be going on and Balarama will be there in Dwaraka. So he says, you go straight to Dwaraka and you get your daughter married to Balarama because he's the best person available for your daughter right now. So this Kakudni comes back with his daughter. When he reaches Earth, then this 28 is Kali Yugam is thing is going on of this current Manu. Dwapara Yuga is going on in before Kali Yugam, and then he goes, meets Balarama, and gets his daughter Revati married to Balarama. So that is the story of how Balarama marries Revati. And it talks about how, as you start going up in these worlds, the 14 worlds, the time is fundamentally different, right? So when we go to Pitrulokam, where the souls reside in temporary residence, there every month for us is 1 day for them. That's why we perform Tarpanam every month, right? It's one time, it's every day for them. In the Deva Lokam, it is 1 year. 1 year for us is 1 day for the Devas. As you keep going up, Brahma, it's significantly different. That's why by the time he went up and came, several millions of years had passed on earth. Anyway, so Revati marries Balarama. Dadushi Revata Bhubhriti Revatim, Halabhrite Tanayam Vidishasanat. Halabhrite is the one who holds the Hala, which is Balarama. Mahitam Utsava Ghosham Apupushaha, Samuditair Muditaihi, put is Muditais Saha Yadavaihi. They all celebrate big festival, marriage happening. Dadushire Vata Bhubhriti Revatim Halabhrite Tanayam Vidishasanat Mahitam Utsava Ghosham Apupushaha Samuditair Muditai Sahayadavaihi.
ददुशिरेवत भूभृतिरेवतीं हलभृते तनयां विधिशासनात् महितमुत्सवघोषमपूपुषः समुदितैर्मुदितैः सह यादवैः ददुशिरेवत भूभृतिरेवतीं हलभृते तनयां विधिशासनात् महितमुत्सवघोषमपूपुषः समुदितैर्मुदितैः सह यादवैः
ददुशिरेवत भूपृतिरेवतीं हलभृते तनयां विधिशासनात् महितमुत्सवघोषमपूपुषः समुदितैर्मुदितैः सह यादवैः ददुशिरेवत भूपृतिरेवतीं हलभृते तनयां विधिशासनात् महितमुत्सवघोषमपूपुषः समुदितैर्मुदितैः सह यादवैः.
Stanza 3. Ata vidarbhasutam khalu rukminim pranahinim tvayi deva sahodaraha swayamaditsata chedi mahi bhuje swatamasa tamasadhumupashrayan. So we now come to this is in Nagpur area, right, which is Vidarbha area, which is the current day Nagpur. There was a king called Bhishmaka. This Bhishmaka had 5 children, 5 sons and 1 daughter. The daughter's name is Rukmini. One of the brothers' name is Rukmi, right? Rukmini. Now, this Bhishmaka, he was a very nice person. So he's a very spiritually advanced king. He did all the right things. That's where Rukmini was born to him, right? Now, this Rukmi, her brother, one of the brother, was again tied up with that Kamsa, Jarasandha, all of that gang. Another person, Shishupala, all of them were one gang. So, they all had this. So when this Bhishmaka's kingdom, people used to always come and talk about this really great personality who is there, Krishna. He's done these amazing things in Vrindavan. He's done these amazing things in Mathura. He's now established a big fortress in Dwaraka. They always kept talking about it. So this Rukmini, who is Swayam Mahalakshmi's incarnation, we're going to see that later. So she naturally falls in love with him, love with Krishna, even without seeing him. So he just hears about all the good qualities of Krishna. She loves him. Now this Rukmi, her brother, says absolutely no to Krishna. You can marry anybody, absolutely no to Krishna. So he says the best person for you is one of his buddies called as Shishupala, who is the ruler of Chedi. Shishupala is related to Krishna. We'll see it much later. But they, like I said, Shishupala, Kamsa, Jarasandha, Rukmi are all one gang. She says, I want to get you married to my best friend, Chedi's king Shishupala, so you cannot marry Krishna. So that Rukmini is against this marriage, but Rukmini is absolutely in love with Krishna even without seeing him, right? The Atha Vidarbha Sutam Khalu Rukminim, Pranayinim Tvai Deva Sahodaraha Swayamaditsata Chedi Mahi Bhuje, Swa Tamasa Tamasadhum Upashrayan. Atha Vidarbhasutam Khalu Rukminim Pranayinim Tvahi Deva Sahodaraha Swayamaditsata Chedi Mahi Bhuje Swatamasa Tamasadhum Upashrayan.
अथ विदर्भसुतां खलु रुक्मिणीं प्रणयिनीं त्वयि देव सहोदरः स्वयमदित्सत चेदिमही भुजे स्वतमसा तमसाधुमुपाश्रयन् अथ विदर्भसुतां खलु रुक्मिणीं प्रणयिनीं त्वयि देव सहोदरः स्वयमदित्सत चेदिमही भुजे स्वतमसा तमसाधुमुपाश्रयन्
अथ विदर्भसुतां खलु रुक्मिणीं प्रणयिनीं त्वयि देव सहोदरः स्वयमदित्सत चेदिमहि भुजे स्वतमसा तमसाधुमुपाश्रयन् अथ विदर्भसुतां खलु रुक्मिणीं प्रणयिनीं त्वयि देव सहोदरः स्वयमदित्सत चेदिमहि भुजे स्वतमसा तमसाधुमुपाश्रयन्.
Support. Chiradhrita pranaya tvai balika sapadi kankshita bhanga samakula tava nivedayitum dvijamadishate swakadanam kadananga vinirmitam. You literally have to look at this. What's going to play out in 78, 79 is like any other Tamil or Telugu movie. There's absolutely nothing different, right? So here, the heroine is in love with somebody, in love at first sight, even without looking. But the heroine's brother is a villain, and he wants her married to one of his buddies. Now, Krishna on the other side, he knows about this because, of course, Rukmini is Mahalakshmi's incarnation. So, of course, they both are destined to get married. So, there's no doubt about whether they're going to fall in love. Now, this Rukmini is wondering, her marriage is getting fixed. Rukmini, her brother, is hurrying up, right? And he's getting her marriage fixed to the Shishupala. So Rukmini is thinking, how do I get this message over to Krishna? So like we do in college, you always use your best friend as a messenger to go send the love to somebody else. So she says, she calls not her friend, she calls a Brahmana boy and tells that person that I have an urgent message. Nobody should know about it. You need to very quickly take this message, head over to Dwaraka today, somehow get an appointment with the Prince Krishna there, and you have to hand over this message. Handwritten message has to be delivered to Krishna immediately, right? So with that, she writes a beautiful message, which we're going to see later, and then she sends it to this boy, who then heads over to Dwaraka to give the message to Krishna. Chira dhrita pranaya tvai balika, sapadi kankshita bhanga samakula tava nivedayitum dvijam adishat. Dvijam, breaking that in. Dvijam refers to somebody who's twice born, who's a Brahmana. Dvijam adishat, swa kadanam kadananga vinirmitam. Chiradhrita pranaya tvai balika sapadi kankshita bhanga samakula tava nivedayitum dvijamadishate swakadanam kadananga vinirmitam.
चिरधृतप्रणया त्वयि बालिका सपदि काङ्क्षितभङ्गसमाकुला तव निवेदयितुं द्विजमादिशत् स्वकदनं कदनङ्गविनिर्मितम् चिरधृतप्रणया त्वयि बालिका सपदि काङ्क्षितभङ्गसमाकुला तव निवेदयितुं द्विजमादिशत् स्वकदनं कदनङ्गविनिर्मितम्
चिरधृतप्रणया त्वयि बालिका सपदि काङ्क्षितभङ्गसमाकुला तव निवेदयितुं द्विजमादिशत् स्वकदनं कदनङ्गविनिर्मितं शिरधृतप्रणया त्वयि बालिका सपदि काङ्क्षितभङ्गसमाकुला तव निवेदयितुं द्विजमादिशत् स्वकदनं कदनङ्गविनिर्मितम्.
That's right. द्विजसुतोऽपि चतुर्णमुपाययौ तव पुरं हि दुराश दुरासदम् मुदमवाप च सादरपूजितः स भवतापहृता स्वयम्. This Brahmana boy, young boy, he somehow reaches to Dwaraka, which is not accessible to everybody, right? They had a lot of restrictions of who could enter Dwaraka, how you can enter Dwaraka, all of that. But anyway, he was a blessed person. So he managed to somehow, enter into Dwaraka and then finally get an appointment with Krishna. Dvija Sutopi cha Turnam Upayayau, Tava Puram hi Durasha Durasadam मुदमवाप च सादर पूजितः स भवतापहृता स्वयम्. द्विजसुतोऽपि चतुर्णमुपाययौ तव पुरं हि दुराश दुरासदम् मुदमवाप च सादर पूजितः स भवतापहृता स्वयम्.
द्विजसुतोऽपि चतुर्णमुपाययौ तव पुरं हि दुराश दुरासदम् मुदमवाप च सादरपूजितः स भवतापहृता स्वयम्. द्विजसुतोऽपि चतुर्णमुपाययौ तव पुरं हि दुराश दुरासदम् मुदमवाप च सादरपूजितः स भवतापहृता स्वयम्.
द्विजसुतोऽपि चतुर्णमुपाययौ तव पुरं हि दुरासदम् मुदमवाप च सादरपूजितः स भवतापहृता स्वयम्. द्विजसुतोऽपि चतुर्णमुपाययौ तव पुरं हि दुरासदम् मुदमवाप च सादरपूजितः स भवतापहृता स्वयम्.
I just want to somehow get through 6, 7, and 8 today, or 6 and 7, because I want to say that Sandesham meaning today. Sacha bhavantamavochat kundhine nripasuta khalu rajati rukmini त्वयि समुत्सुकया निजधीरता रहितया hitaya prahitosmyaham. So this Brahmana enters there, and Krishna welcomes him, worships Brahmana, very similar to what he's going to do to Kuchela later. And then, he asks him, okay, who are you? Where have you come from? What purpose? Explain everything. So this Brahmana says in this Kundina, which is Vidarbha region, there is a princess who her name is Rukmini. And she says she has actually sent a very urgent message to you, which I have actually got. And he wants to hand over that message to Krishna. And then he hands over that message over to Krishna. The next 2 stanzas are going to talk about that Sandesham that she has sent. Sacha bhavantam avochata kundine, nripa sutha khalu rajati rukmini त्वयि समुत्सुकया निज धीरता प्लस रहितया हि तया प्रहितोस्म्यहम्. सच भवन्तमवोचत कुण्डिने नृपसुता खलु राजति रुक्मिणी त्वयि समुत्सुकया निज धीरता रहितया हि तया प्रहितोस्म्यहम्.
स च भवन्तमवोचत कुण्डिने नृपसुता खलु राजति रुक्मिणी त्वयि समुत्सुकया निजधीरता रहितया हितया प्रहितोऽस्म्यहम्. स च भवन्तमवोचत कुण्डिने नृपसुता खलु राजति रुक्मिणी त्वयि समुत्सुकया निजधीरता रहितया हितया प्रहितोऽस्म्यहम्।
स च भवन्तमवोचत कुण्डिने नृपसुता खलु राजति रुक्मिणी त्वयि समुत्सकया निजधीरतारहितया हितया प्रहितोऽस्म्यहम्.
Sita, the second line, Tvai samut sukhaya.
Oh, that's, yeah, sorry, it's twice. Okay. स च भवन्तमवोचत कुण्डिने नृपसुता खलु राजति रुक्मिणी त्वयि समुत्सुकया निजधीरतारहितया हितया प्रहितोऽस्म्यहम्.
Stanza 7. Tava hritasmi puraiva gunairaham harati mam kila chedi nrupodhuna ai kripalaya palaya mamiti prajagate jagade kapate taya. This whole thing is called as Rukmini Sandesham, and people have given long lectures around this Rukmini Sandesham about what message Rukmini actually sends, because she has not met Krishna. Krishna has not met her. They have not spoken to each other. She has to convey a lot of information in like one message, right? And Rukmini at that time was a very scholarly person in Sanskrit. So she wrote a very beautiful message. So in that message, she says that Krishna, like, you don't know about me. Okay, but I have heard everything about you, right? And anybody who hears about you, their all their sorrows, everything goes down when your name comes through their ears. I've heard about your beauty as well. So I've not seen, but I've heard about your beauty. I've heard about all the great qualities that you actually have. And she said, I have fixed my mind on you. I'm absolutely in love with you, and I only want to marry you, right? He says, because there's nobody in this world who matches you when it comes to the character, when it comes to the beauty, the knowledge, and everything that is there. You are the best, right? So if you remember in Dasakam 28, when Lakshmi Swayamvaram happens in the churning of the ocean, when Mahalakshmi comes, she's walking around. She goes and looks at everybody, and she says, this person has this thing, but he has this problem. Brahma has all these things, but Brahma has a limited life, right? And so she goes through everybody, and finally she goes and garlands Narayana, saying there's nobody who's equivalent to you. You are the top amongst everything. Similar, Rukmini saying, amongst all these attributes that I'm looking for in a husband, you are the best, right? So she says, therefore, I've completely surrendered my mind to you and have decided that I want to marry you, right? That is the first point. The second point she said is, my brother Rukmi is already arranged for my marriage the day after tomorrow, because it's literally happening 2 days before marriage, the day after tomorrow with your cousin Shishupala, right? So she says, and I don't want to marry that Shishupala. So when my marriage is about to begin, she says, what I want you to do is I want you to come very quickly over to Vidarbha, come tomorrow, which is the day before the marriage, and then there's a big procession that is there. So I want you to take me away and run away with me. And she also tells a plan. She says that I know when you come there, there are going to be a lot of security people. There are going to be a lot of people who are going to be there, because it is Shishupala and Rukmi and all these people. She says, I'll tell you exactly how to do it. She says, on the day of my marriage, I'm going to be going into the temple in the morning, to a Parvati temple. So when I'm only going to be accompanied with my female bodyguards at that time. So when I'm coming down from the steps of the temple, there will be no men bodyguards around me. I want you to come with an army. You abduct me and let the army fight with that. So she gives an entire plan of how the abduction needs to happen. And she also then says, like you always, like in work, you always say, what is the consequence of not doing, right? She says, if you do not do this, and if you do not come and rescue me before my marriage, I'm going to give up my life, because I don't want to live with anybody except you. So with that, Rukmini then gives a very beautiful Rukmini Sandesham to through this Brahmana boy to Krishna, saying, I'm in love. You have to come and rescue me. You have to come tomorrow. You cannot wait. And you have to do this plan, abduct me, else I'm going to give up my life, because I don't want to marry Shishupala. That is the Rukmini Sandesham. It's captured in 2 stanzas here, in stanzas 7 and 8. Tava hritasmi puraiva gunairaham, harati mam kila chedi nrupodhuna ai kripalaya palaya mamiti, prajagade jagadeka pate taya. Kripalaya, one who's filled with compassion. Palaya, please protect me, because you are the jagadeka pate. You are the only ruler of the world. Tava hritasmi puraiva gunairaham हरति मां किल चेदि नृपोऽधुना अयि कृपालय पालय मामिति प्रजगदे जगदेकपते तया
तव हृतास्मि पुरैव गुणैरहं हरति मां किल चेदि नृपोऽधुना अयि कृपालय पालय मामिति प्रजगदे जगदेकपते तया तव हृतास्मि पुरैव गुणैरहं हरति मां किल चेदि नृपोऽधुना अयि कृपालय पालय मामिति प्रजगदे जगदेकपते तया
तव हृतास्मि पुरैव गुणैरहं हरति मां किल चेदि नृपोऽधुना अयि कृपालय पालय मामिति प्रजगदे जगदेकपते तया तव हृतास्मि पुरैव गुणैरहं हरति मां किल चेदि नृपोऽधुना अयि कृपालय पालय मामिति प्रजगदे जगदेकपते तया.
Do one more. Asharanam yadi mam tvamupekshase, comma, sapadi jeevitameva jahamyaham iti gira sutanor, just breaking at that ra, putting a ir and a sutanor atanod brisham, comma, suhridayam hridayam tava kataram. So the important word here is asharanam. See, when you always have an option B, then, people, option A won't work. So she says that I don't have any other option. I'm fully surrendering to you. Asharanam. I don't have any other refuge. Right? So you are my only option, because if you don't work out, it's not like I'm going to go marry somebody else, right? I'm just going to give up my life. Asharanam yadi mam tvamupekshase sapadi jeevitame jahamyaham iti gira sutanoratanodbhrisham suhridayam hridayam tava kataram.
अशरणं यदि मां त्वमुपेक्षसे सपदि जीवितमेव जहाम्यहम् इति गिरासुतनोरतनोद्भृशं सुहृदयं हृदयं तव कातरम् अशरणं यदि मां त्वमुपेक्षसे सपदि जीवितमेव जहाम्यहम् इति गिरासुतनोरतनोद्भृशं सुहृदयं हृदयं तव कातरम्
अशरणां यदि मां त्वमुपेक्षसे सपदि जीवितमेव जहाम्यहम् इति गिरा सुतनोरतनोद्भृशं सुहृदं हृदयं तव कातरम्.
Last one, suhridayam hridayam.
सुहृदयं हृदयं. अशरणां यदि मां त्वमुपेक्षसे सपदि जीवितमेव जहाम्यहम् इति गिरा सुतनोरतनोद्भृशं सुहृदयं हृदयं तव कातरम्.
Software is a good breaking point. Sri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. सान्ध्रानन्दावबोधात्मकमनुपमितं कालदेशावधिभ्यां निर्मुक्तं नित्यमुक्तं निगमशतसहस्रेण निर्भास्यमानम् अस्पष्टं दृष्टमात्रे पुनरुरुपुरुषार्थात्मकं ब्रह्मतत्त्वं तत्तावद्भाति साक्षात् गुरुपवनपुरे हन्त भाग्यं जनानां कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Rajesh.
Bye, everyone. Bye.